Good evening, Razorback fans. We want to welcome you into the new weekly women's sports report. I'm your host, Porter Hayes, and as always, we're presented by Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contest events with first-to-market odds and lines. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live and game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to Bet Online to use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. And Bet Online, where the game starts. This is episode 2 of the weekly women's sports report, where we will go over everything Arkansas women's sports. So thank you for joining in. We are proud. We kind of mentioned it a little bit, but really want to make it official that our newest sponsor, Fordham Distillery, will be the official sponsor of the weekly women's sports report. Distillery is located in Middleton Valley, Maryland, and the bourbons and cream-based whiskeys are all grain to glass, utilizing the finest facilities and technology for distillation. They use no neutral grain spirits in any of our products, and all grains are non-GMO, utilizing local farms. The original 10-gallon still from the bootlegger days still sits in the tasting room. So we really want to thank Fordham Distillery for being our proud sponsor. And if everything goes according to plan, we talked about Arkansas having the bye week. We will bring on the CEO of Fordham Distillery, Bill Poffenbarger, tomorrow night to talk about the story of Fordham Distillery and how everything got started. So we're going to get started first. Big day, a big week in women's sports all around. I really want to start off with congratulating freshman Carolina Gomez Alonso of women's tennis. She claimed the ITA Central Regional title. She won 2 matches on the final day of the Central Regional Championship to claim the singles title and become the first Razorback to be named the ITA Central Regional Champion since Anouk Tigu won it in 2010. So big congratulations. She is only a freshman. So when we talk about every week, we talk about these programs up and coming. Who's next? The volleyball. This is one of those programs that's up and coming that we do not give a lot of attention to. And I'm telling you, with Spink and Cross and now Caroline, I mean, this is another program that's really producing for the Razorbacks. Very excited to see what they do moving forward. So again, we want to start it off by thanking or congratulating her on her regional championship. And again, freshman. So there's going to be many more years to come with her. Next up, we will move on to the soccer. And they had a huge matchup with Alabama. The winner was going to take over first place in the West. And from what I've been told, they're either doing away with the division, so they're all going to one whole when it comes to the seedings. Well, they failed Alabama 2-1 in Tuscaloosa. They took an early lead in the 18th minute. And it just, I don't know if it just kind of, they gave it a game away, but Alabama scored a goal, quickly right after. And then they went ahead in the second half. Cotel commented after the game, congratulated Alabama. And again, it's like this is a team that's won back-to-back-to-back SEC regular season titles. So this could be possibly the first time that some of these kids have ever not won an SEC championship. So when we look at the standard of the women's programs at Arkansas, it's track and field, then it's soccer, and then it's softball in that order. When you look at the success that these teams have made, and Coach Hale, been to a couple practices and just how he runs things, you could tell it's a business-like approach. Just with Anna Potagil, she's one goal away from tying the all-time score and goals leader. So, I mean, that kind of pressure's there, along with the pressure of we got to be the best in the SEC every year. So it's going to kind of be weird to say that they're not the SEC regular season championship, but we all know the end goal. You want to get to the SEC tournament championship. You want to win the SEC. I mean, that's the thing. He's been denied in so many finals, that now it's that time to really to bring one to Fayetteville, bring another SEC championship to Fayetteville, then go on to the NCAA tournament. So they upcoming now, they got LSU, I believe, at home. And they got LSU at Thursday at home, Ole Miss, Kentucky, before the SEC tournament is going to be in Pensacola, Florida. So as of right now, they are the third seed in the SEC. They, I don't think that they'll be able to, catch Alabama, and then Tennessee in the East, which, of course, if they combine the divisions, both are sitting at undefeated in conference. So they got a tough hill to climb with sitting at 2 losses in the conference play. But better yet, they still got a top 3 seed, top 3 team, and that's nothing you can't win the SEC every single year. But that's kind of been the standard. It's kind of been the way, but the way they keep on recruiting these top class, the best players in the country to come to Arkansas and play soccer, I mean, it's just overwhelming. And another one of those programs, like we keep mentioning with the women's basketball program, the gymnastics, just that the foundation setting with Parker Goins, and they come watch the game against Vanderbilt, the big game. It's cool to see the pros and the alumnus come back and watch these teams play, and better yet, be able to come back and be proud to come and watch these teams play and win. And that was a big game for them against Vanderbilt that they've had a tough time against. The last 4 times they won the last 3 out of 4. The only loss coming in the SEC tournament championship, but going back to like 2017, they'd only scored 1 goal against Vanderbilt in all meetings. So to win that game, really come out, score 2 quick goals, and then in the second half get another quick goal, hold on, to a 3-0 win. I mean, it just tells you the difference in these games. And when they won 3-0, they were coming off of 4 straight 1-0 wins. So I mean, it's a quirky thing when you look at softball, baseball, and soccer. They're low scoring sports that there's not a lot of. I mean, there's back and forth, but I mean, you can win a game 1-0. So that just shows the importance and the intensity of these games. And unfortunately, again, they do fall to Alabama. But again, with the sport, and I'm telling you what, the SEC, it used to be a football conference. But if you really look top to bottom, in the men's side and the women's side, the SEC's the tops in the football. They're tops in the baseball. They're tops. You could argue that they're top, if not competing with all the other conferences in basketball. We know what they are in baseball. And then look at softball, what's going on. And you add OU, who's going to be coming into the softball. That's another juggernaut with Texas, who, of course, ended Arkansas' softball season last year. It's only going to get better. And so the teams, the recruiting is only going to get better. And this is one of those programs that Coach Hale, and big praise, big shout out to the softball and the soccer program getting new facilities. We had talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and they're going to be adding about 1,200. This is just estimate on what I've been told, and it's not been fully reported yet, but they're looking to add about 1,200 seats to the soccer facility. Been told that they're basically where the concession stand is. They're going to knock it all the way down and they're going to give them their own building. There had been talks of the soccer and softball to share a facility, but it was going to kind of come into where the road is between Bud Walton and where the soccer facility is, the bus routes. And I guess there was kind of conflict of having to shut down the road. So U of A kind of, I guess, told them they didn't allow them to have that road. So instead of one big shared facility, each one's going to have their own. And softball has their own facility with the indoor practice, and they're going to add on to that. There hasn't been any talks of adding any seats. And I guarantee you that once they do get done with this soccer and softball renovation, I guarantee you with the recruiting classes that we're about to break down with the softball program, there's going to be a need for it. There's going to be a need for more seats because I'm telling you, once this softball program roll and even the soccer program, when we were there at the Vanderbilt game, the stadium was full. They have bleachers there at the end behind the goal where the concession stand in. That was full. It's almost like a berm atmosphere for the soccer stadium. And I kind of joked going between the softball scrimmage and the soccer that they need to just put a zip line in between the press box and the soccer field so we can go back and forth. But that was fun getting to witness both of that on the same day because – the fans turning out for the soccer and having the biggest crowd of the year. Big shout out to the fans. Because if it wasn't for the fans and the interest, this show would not be possible. This is fan driven. I really want to honestly say that this show is for the players, the coaches, and the fans because, you turn out to the games. Me personally, have preached and have said, show up, show out, please support the women's programs more. So it's only fitting that I practice what I preach and I have the platform that I do to give the women their own show. But you can't say enough big things about what's going on in the soccer program. And then, of course, moving right on along to the volleyball program. They had they've been bouncing out back and forth between the rankings all year long. And they were playing and I don't know if this started with COVID or I'd have to really dig deep into the scheduling part of it. But during COVID, they would play a Friday night and Saturday night game or 2-in-1 day game. But they really started their SEC scheduling playing one match on a Friday or one match on a Saturday and then following up the next day. And they ended up getting the two separate sweeps in a row over Tennessee, which was huge because you're coming off of, a little skid when it comes to you got ranked when it comes to you beat Ole Miss, then you split with Mississippi State, you dropped 2 in a row to Kentucky. So coming into another matchup at Barnhill Arena against Tennessee, you really wanted to get back on track because you've got Texas A&M, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Missouri, Alabama, and Auburn left. So there's still a lot of season left, but you want to really stay ranked because they were on the fringe last year. A lot, including myself, thought they should have did enough to get into the NCAA tournament. They got kind of shafted in a way, but still made postseason play last season. So big matchup at Barnhill on Wednesday. They usually play Thursdays, but this is one of those single. And again, I really have to ask Coach Watson and Emily, the SID, on what makes them do a split or, a 2-match or a single match. So for the next one, they go play Texas A&M. That will be tomorrow night in Barnhill. Then Saturday, they go to Gainesville for a matchup on Saturday and Sunday. They have South Carolina next Wednesday. Then they go to Georgia on Sunday, November 6th. Wednesday, November. So it's a Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. So big matchups going on for them. And I'm telling you what, Jillian Gillen keeps on climbing the kills list. Taylor Head killing it as always. Tatum Shipes has been another one of those that have been up and coming, just a star. Maggie Cartwright, another star for the Razorbacks. And when they were ranked, you're looking at the depth of this team and just how good they were. And I went to the Colorado matchup and just the speed of this game, and just I want to see the intensity of their kills and their digs and just how everything flows and moves around. Really impressed me on how they did, and having 2 top 10 wins is really going to help the resume when it comes to, getting into the NCAA tournament. So look forward to that coming up. Just Coach Watson's done an amazing job, and one of the nicest people and one of the nicest guys on campus, because every time we go into a media setting or a press conference, he's always so appreciative of, everybody who comes and supports this team. He's asking everybody. So everyone who's listening or who's going to download the podcast when it drops tomorrow morning, he's basically begging people to come out to Barnhill Arena and match the intensity of the red-white game for the basketball team, and being a midweek game. And, it's just one of the things where I know once they get rolling and once all these things come to, they get better as a program, they're going to be more, of course, more people show up. But, Texas A&M's coming to town. So if you could get out and show up for this program. I mean, you want to talk about the kids want to look up in those stands and they see them full. We've seen it happen at the soccer stadium. We've seen it happen at Bogle Park. We've seen it happen 5,000-6,000 show up at Bud Walton Arena for the women's basketball. We've seen the gymnastics program, which is coming up, getting 2 matches now. They had 1 last year at Bud Walton. Now they're going to get 2. They've had 10,000. So the series coming up, or the game against Texas A&M, show up full force. And I'll tell you what, it's just as cheap to get into a daggum women's event at the University of Arkansas than it is a high school game. So if you want some cheap entertainment that is very, very exciting, I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed if you go watch this women's volleyball team play tomorrow night. It starts at 7 p.m. I'm not seeing, let me look on the schedule right quick. I don't know if this is going to be televised or not. Usually, sometimes they'll put them on the SEC Plus, but it's saying SEC Network. So good deal on that. It will be on the SEC Network if you cannot make it out. So it's going to be a good time, good event. Hopefully, coming off the sweep, they'll win 3 in a row. So go out and support them. Moving on now to the softball program. And I really touched on a little bit in episode 1 after we had Coach Neighbors on. We're going to have Coach Deifel on soon. I'm trying for next week. Nothing promised yet, but we'll have her on to really break down their fall slate. But I really want to really touch on this recruiting class and the future of this program. And when we found out that the freshmen this year, and they signed the number 1 recruiting class in the country, just the excitement that was coming in and the excitement and expectations that the fans and the media had for these players matched when you seen them on the field. And getting to see these girls play, and every single one of them are as good as advertised. I mean, you got a set of twins that one was playing third, and then they ended up pitching and catching, Hannah and Lauren Kamenzend. How cool is it to not only get to play catch with your sister, but to do it at a Division I program like Arkansas? I mean, that just had to be the thrill of their life, And these are freshmen that are producing. Kiki Estrada, another one that's going to be forced to reckon with. Nija Fontenot. I mean, these kids are coming in. Robin Heron was pitching excellent, and I am very excited to see what this class does, added with what you have coming back, and then you add these freshmen in there. But on top of that, you move into the 23 class or the 24 class that just signed. You have Ella McDowell, the number 3 player in the country. You have Ramsey Walker, the number 14 player in the country. Cam Harrison, the number 5 player in the country. And then you had Lexi King, the 48th player in the country. Ashton Reichert, the 28th player in the nation. And then you had in-state Ava Carver from Greene County Tech. And then the last one of the group was Jaden Ramos, the first baseman from Fresno, California. But I'm telling you what, you look at 3, 5, 14, 28, 48 in the nation and where this program was 5 years ago. That just shows you where this team is. And I got to talk to a bunch of the girls that are freshmen now, and I got to talk to a bunch of the ones that have just signed. And every single one of these players talked about the staff, and how they were treated when they got to come on campus. You know, the fans, the atmosphere. And I'm telling you right now, Razorback fans, what they get to see at Bogle Park, you're blessed, because you can go to other programs around the country and you don't even get half of that. You go to a regional, and some of these places are maybe getting 1,000 there, maybe 1,500, 2,000. Now, the elite schools, you're going to get your crowds. And I'm telling you, that's what Arkansas is now. They are an elite program. They haven't made it to Oklahoma City yet. They've made it to 2 super regionals in a row. And I'm telling you what, this right here is a program that Coach Deifel, Coach Yo, Coach Matt, they're building a juggernaut at Fayetteville. Because they're already talking to, they're already working on a 25. And from what I've been hearing and what I've been seeing is there is already a huge chance that they're going to get the number 1 or number 2 player in the country in the 25 class. A pitcher out of Tennessee, Addison Linton, throwing 70 miles per hour on the gun as a sophomore in high school and hitting absolute tanks and bombs. I mean, these girls, you're thinking of sophomore throwing 70 on the radar gun and just absolutely hitting bombs out at the parks. I mean, it's incredible who these kids, they want to play for Coach Deifel. They want to play for Coach Yo. They want to play for Coach Matt. They want to be a part of it. And every single person that I talk to says they want to be a part of that group that not only succeeds at Arkansas, but brings home a national championship to the University of Arkansas. That's where this program is. It's not only we're buying into this coach, we're buying into this program. Now the example is with the soccer national championship. You got people coming to the women's basketball program we're talking about in a minute. They want to win a national championship. Softball national championship. 5 years ago, you're begging for wins. You're begging for them just to win, get out of the cellar of the SEC. Now we're talking national championships. And you talk to these coaches and you think about the coaches that are at the University of Arkansas, and they have a coaches meeting, and you say you're a brand new head coach at the University of Arkansas, and you're sitting in a coach's room with the likes of Colby Hale, Lance Harder, Sam Pittman, Eric Musselman, Dave Van Horn, all these coaches, Mike Neighbors, Jordan Weaver. You're sitting in this room with these successful coaches that have won conference championships and have won national championships, who have built programs from the ground up and built all of them to be as successful as they are today. It is a very exciting time to be on either side. Either side. It's very exciting to be. Look at the red-white game for the men's, and you're selling out. You're not selling out because it was free, but you're packing Bud Walton or Barnhill Arena. You're selling out stadiums. That's where we have a chance to get all of the programs at the University of Arkansas. And at one point, every fall program was ranked at the University of Arkansas. And there was other schools out there, I won't call them out by name, that were trying to say they were the only ones. But there was another school here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, that can honestly say that every single program at one time was ranked and could be ranked. Volleyball programs kind of falling out of the rankings, but they're still a legitimate top 25 program. And I'm not saying this to be biased. You have two top 10 wins. You didn't have a fluke win over a team. You're having to go best out of 5 sets with these teams, and you're winning 3-1, 3-1. You're winning in 4 sets. So that just shows you the talent that is there playing. That shows you the talent of the softball. It shows you the talent that not only like Anna Pottinger, Ava Tankersley, you're having precede people like Parker Goins who are playing pro. You're playing professional soccer now. You're playing against the best players in the country. And that's where all the programs are. And then finishing up with the women's basketball program, whose season's about to start here pretty soon here in November, which they'll start off with their first game. It's going to be an exhibition against Arkansas UAFS, to the old school, old heads like me call it West Ark, and then you play UAPB and then Central Arkansas. So Wednesday, November 2nd will be the first home game against UFAS. So they just opened up their their media day, and they're picked fourth to finish fourth in the conference, which I'm okay with that. You look at South Carolina, they're the top dog in the national scene. They are up and coming. Tennessee, what Coach Harper's done there at Tennessee, bringing them back to the national prominence that they used to be. Because back in the day, it was, the likes of Stanford and UConn and Tennessee. Now it's South Carolina. UConn's still at the top, but they haven't done what they used to do. They haven't won a national championship in a while, and that's kind of, you could kind of compare UConn to the women's basketball to like Alabama football. 11 national championships for UConn women's. And to see teams like Tennessee, to see teams like South Carolina, what they're doing. To be picked fourth in the league is nothing to really hang your head about. They won 18 games last year. You got 4 returning starters. I mean, they don't – I guess they said 3, but, Aaron Barnum got injured last year and had to miss a lot of games. So you could really say 4 starters are coming back. But what I really wanted to bring up is with the media is you have 2 first team and second team all SEC. You got the reigning freshman of the year. You got Michaela Daniels. Neither one of them got any kind of love at all. And I know it's preseason, but you can't sit there and tell me that the reigning freshman of the year can't get anything. Michaela Daniels can't get anything when it comes to first team and second team. And I think it was a bit disrespectful or lazy one. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe we're still in a time where some of the media is just looking at the top dog programs. All right, we see Tennessee brand name. We see South Carolina brand name. Let's just give their top players the all SEC awards. But just if you look at the SEC as a whole and what they lost last year, Ryan Howard, the players, Henderson at South Carolina, and then you see what Arkansas has coming back. And I'm not saying that Arkansas deserved to have 3 people on the all-first SEC team. But you can't sit there and tell me that either Samara or Michaela didn't deserve to be on either one of those teams. So clearly you're not watching them. You're not, and that's fine, because I'm telling you what, with the team that they have this year, with the leadership that Coach Neighbors had mentioned in the media day to day, with that locked-in chain that they have floating around. Every day they want somebody locked in. You're just giving them the motivation that they need to make noise, to prove everybody wrong, because I'm telling you, I know Coach Neighbors, he's going to remember this. He's not going to say nothing about it. He's very professional and very proud of his team, and he would not dare do anything to ruin the image and the professionalism of him being the head coach at the University of Arkansas. But I'm telling you, he's going to remember that. And when, in fact, I'll say it right now, at the end of the year, and the coaches poll and the coaches will come out next week. So I might be saying all this, but still yet. The coaches and preseason, yes, it's nice to have these girls get recognized, but we all know the end goal is what matters the most. But I'm looking at the media poll, and I'm looking at the media all SEC teams, and I'm telling you right now, they're going to be 3 that are going to be on it. I think Michaela Daniels will be on it. I think Saylor Poffenbarger will be on it. And I think that Samara Spencer will be on those. You could honestly go for Jersey Wolfenbarger too. Riley Langerman will be on the all-defensive team. She's one of the best defensive players in the league. Underrated defensive player for this team. Played in every single game. And anything you ask of her, she does. And does it with a smile on her face. But she's a dog. She steps off the court. She's sitting there giving off and giggling with her friends and her teammates. But she steps on that court. She's a totally different person. And she'll fight for every loose ball. So following the team as long as I have and following these programs as long as I have, you kind of do get a little, I guess, defensive when it comes to you seeing just nobody on there. And you just look at like, what are y'all looking at? But then again, this is the same team last year that a well-known national media member asked Coach Neighbors what he was going to do to replace Amber Ramirez, and she was still on the team. So, I mean, that just shows you kind of nationally where Arkansas's looked at as a whole. When they win big games, of course, you're going to be the darling, and everybody's going to be, they're going to have their day to shine, their time to shine. So everybody's going to, in that moment, be concentrating on Arkansas. But when it comes down to it, when one of your star players is coming back and you ask coach, hey, what are you going to do to replace her? I mean, that's kind of like, did you really do your homework? Did you really look at this team? And I know that there's more teams. There's a lot of teams in Division I, and Arkansas isn't that UConn. It isn't that Tennessee or South Carolina yet. But still yet, I mean, when that's all you do, that's all you cover. I mean, do a little bit more research, because that took me 5 seconds to Google that, or to be in that press conference when she announced that she was indeed coming back. And it wasn't like Amber decided to come back in April and this was in March. She decided to come back in the fall, right after, in the spring, right after the tournament. And then this was the following next, season that the question was posed. So it's just, this team is going to surprise some teams. 4th is where I have them. Me and my good buddy Paul Boyd talk all about it. And 4 is about right, because, I mean, you look at Tennessee and South Carolina, they're going to be really good. Arkansas has always played well against Tennessee. So, I mean, Arkansas could finish 3rd. They could finish 2nd. You never know. But this team's going to surprise a lot of people. Another one that I didn't even mention, and this could be, and Coach Neighbors had said that this could be even one of the best players on the team, is Chrissy Carr, come from Syracuse, baller. You have Marion Dowda, in-state product from Bentonville. She's coming back. Mid-range game is on point. You've got people down low that are going to be able to rebound. You've got 2 6'5" kids on this, and like he said, you got Jersey and Miriam 6'5". The best thing and the craziest thing about this is you get Jersey for 3 more years. You get Samara for 3 more years. You get Saylor for 4 years. You get Miriam for 4 years. I mean, this is going to be a team that's dangerous. Emery Ellis, a 6'3" sophomore. Riley Langerman, junior. This team, if they keep on recruiting and bringing in people, they're going to be dangerous. This team is going to shock some teams, and they're going to win some games that there's going to be some people that thought they wouldn't. But are they going to lose some games that they shouldn't? I'm sure they will. I'm sure they're going to drop a game or two that they shouldn't. But that just comes with women's college basketball. That comes with playing in the SEC. SEC is no slouch, as I talked earlier. When it comes to the teams top to bottom, you look at Georgia, Vanderbilt, Shea Raff coming in coaching from UConn, built that program and was sitting there bullying people, making a name for themselves of not going away, and beat Arkansas last year. Tennessee, you can't forget Kim Mulkey down there at LSU and what she's done. And top to bottom, this is one of the toughest leagues in the country. And this team has a potential to be very special, and they have the potential to go to a Sweet 16, even if Elite Eight, depending on draw and seeding and all that good stuff. But this team will make the NCAA tournament this year, and they will win the first round game. I would love for them to get to the Sweet 16, Elite Eight. They have the pieces, and this is a short bench. This is going to be a 12-bench team. This is going to be something that has been done by design. They started the season 2 weeks later because Coach Neighbors realized that, they might have peaked too soon in the last couple of years. But you're out of the way of COVID when it comes to the restrictions of what they faced in Austin. You got away from the fact of that first round game against Utah last year, finally getting able to get out there and be free and enjoy a postseason play. Now it's go time. It's really go time, and there is a lot of expectations for this team moving forward in this year. Probably one of the most important years for Coach Neighbors in just what they have on that court and how far this team can go and for how many years this team can go. Because you don't have one and dones like you do in men's basketball. So very, very important times coming up. Their season, again, like I said, starts in November. But, man, it's just – I can't say enough about these programs, these teams, these players. That's what this is about. That's what this show's going to be about. We're going to continue bringing on guests. We're going to continue bringing on the coaches, recruits, talking about the people that are coming on campus. We're going to do things that they're not done in any other school in the SEC. I don't know about the nation. Won't go that far. But, it's just the fact that it's nice to be able to say that no matter what, these teams, these programs, and these players, these coaches, and the staff, everybody, the parents, got so many. I've gotten more messages and thankful, just DMs and stuff about thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. It's my pleasure. Now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for growing the fan base that they're packing. I remember a year or two ago, I can't remember who Arkansas was playing in softball, but it was like 38 degrees, 40 degrees outside, cold, rainy, muggy, and it was a sellout. Berm was full, the stands were full, and that's when when the ideal conditions aren't the best and they're still filling the stands. That's when this sport matters. That's when these programs matter. So I want to personally say thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this because it does matter now. They've always mattered, and now it's time to really let them shine and give them their praise. So moving forward, like I said, we're going to try to do the best we can to get the top players, the top coaches, talk about the sports and the players that don't get mentioned as much. And I do want to thank the TV stations, the newspapers, everybody who has started to really give more coverage. I'm seeing it. I want to thank everyone out there, Pig Trail Nation, Best of Arkansas Sports, Hogs Illustrated, Matt Jones, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Paul Boyd, Chip, Easton Westerman, all these guys that are doing, Alyssa Orange at Pig Trail Nation, Courtney, all CJ, the whole team of these places, they're giving more awareness, more shout outs. Hogs Plus is another one that has really just killed it and doing more than I can when it comes to the technology and the cameras and the interviews. And so I don't see it as competition. I see it as we're all in this together to do the same thing. And I love it. I love seeing other podcasts talk about the women's sports. I love seeing other Facebook groups talking about women's sports because they deserve it, and that's what I'm here to do. So again, appreciate you again for tuning in to episode 2 of the Weekly Women's Sports Report presented to you by Fordham Distillery and Bet Online. We're going to be here tomorrow night doing a preview with Bill Poffenbarger of Fordham Distillery. And then Sunday we'll have a show combined kind of just talk about the sports in general. and then looking ahead to the Auburn game. So I appreciate everybody. The podcast will be uploaded sometime tonight to be listened to and looked at tomorrow. So again, thank you for myself, Porter Hayes of the Hog Talk Podcast and Sports and Culture Arkansas. We will catch you tomorrow night.